Welcome to RANsquawk's e-morning briefing for Monday, the 24th of August 2009. Having just headed through now 9 o'clock in London, taking a quick check on where we stand and also a recap of the weekend and overnight press. So marginal positive start so far in Europe. Equities are in marginal positive territory with fixed income lower in terms of 10-year bonds. Starting in with global news flow, OECD's Guerrero did say over the weekend that the OECD had to upgrade its economic outlook in the coming days, saying that countries with their heftier stimulus efforts like the US will likely lead the recovery. However, elsewhere is worth noting over the weekend in the FT opinion section, Nouriel Roubini, the closely followed analyst, or Dr. Doom, sees a risk of double dip recession. Roubini wrote in his piece, it appears that global economy will bottom out in the second half of this year, and that US and Western European economies will likely experience anemic but below trend growth for at least a couple of years. Quite similar sounding piece coming out of the UK-based economist and journalist Anatol Koletsky in the Times as well, saying no cause for celebration across Europe just yet, saying worries about a W-shaped or double-dip recession should be focused on Germany and the Eurozone, not on Britain and especially not on the US. Looking elsewhere, obviously wrapping up in terms of the Jackson Hole meeting from the weekend, quite a few central bank comments. Fed's Cone saying there's no inconsistency in the Fed's promise to keep rates low for an extended period while keeping inflation low, as well as Fed's Bullard saying he expects the TALF program to end if everything goes well over the next 6 to 9 months. He said that positive US economic growth is possible in Q3 and likely in Q4, and the odds are against a dip in US recession. Looking elsewhere from Europe, officials, ECB's Weber says a steep downturn in the German economy has been halted, adding that it's too early to withdraw any policy stimulus. That rhetoric was also reiterated by ECB's Liikanen and Novotny, with ECB's Trichet saying we have an enormous amount of work to do but should be as active as possible. At the moment, elsewhere in terms of commodities, with the slight lift in optimism following the gains seen in the Asian equities overnight, the Nikkei did finish up over 3%, and the Shanghai Composite finished in positive territory over 1% for the third straight gain. So WTI crude futures are trading higher in tandem with the equities. We're trading at 74.25 last, up around 50 cents or so at the moment. In terms of UK news flow, two main articles, one positive, one negative. Firstly, starting off with UK business confidence has turned positive for the first time in 2 years, according to the Institute of Chartered Accountants in England and Wales. They said that they had a record rise in their confidence figure from minus 28.2 to plus 4.8, the biggest improvement since the monitor began in 2003. They also predict that gross domestic product will rise 0.5% this quarter. The Telegraph ran the headline recession almost at an end. On the flip side though, and one article which has weighed on cable and the currencies, which is currently trading around 164.75, down around 36 or so. The tax take has collapsed by 20% on last year, 3 times as much as Alistair Darling forecast in this year's budget, was according to the Sunday Times. Official figures show that revenues raised from businesses has fallen dramatically, with last month's corporation tax receipts sinking to £6.1 billion, that's 38% down on the same time last year. So again, just in terms of equities, as already mentioned, the Nikkei did finish up 3.4%, the Shanghai Composite also positive. That's meant that the FTSE CAC and DAX in Europe at the moment up around 0.8 to 1%, being led at the moment predominantly by basic materials, industrials and financial sectors. Worth noting as well, the latest banking note coming out of Bank of America this morning. They've said that BNP Paribas and also Credit Suisse have been added to the banking most preferred list. They've said that Standard Chartered and Santander are being removed from that particular list, with HSBC added to the banking least preferred list this morning. Looking ahead then in terms of economic releases, volumes as expected for a mid-August week are light at the moment, and the calendar is pretty much light in terms of economic releases. We'll just see from the Eurozone industrial new orders in around an hour's time. From the US, it will just be Chicago Fed National Activity Index at 1:30. That'll be alongside the Canadian retail sales report, and then focusing fixed income in terms of both buybacks and the Bank of England. They're targeting 2019 to 32 maturities, and we'll see a Fed outright Treasury coupon purchase 2011 to 2012. Usual time results around 4 o'clock London, so that'll be 10 o'clock in Chicago.